Welcome to the GL News. I am your host, Gremlin Lord 615. Our top story tonight is the continuing coverage of the holiday hostage situation occurring now at the J.C. Nichols store. We now have video confirmation of the terrorist who is holding these toys against their will. Viewer discretion is advised.
We have the building surrounded, Tingles.
Get out of
Let the
my face.
hostages go.
Not until my demands are met.
Figures. What are your demands?
Oh, I didn't really put much thought into that. How about some hot chocolate?
All right, hot chocolate.
Ooh, and maybe some chocolate chip cookies too?
Fine. Chocolate chip cookies too.
And maybe some...
No, nothing else. That's enough.
What? I beg your finest pardon?
Look, we want the hostages to be safe, but we ain't Christmas elves, you know.
Oh, they're testing me now, Santa. They're testing me. You want me to start candy caning these toys? Because I will. I'll inject them with so much sugar, they'll have diabetes before the new year.
Okay, Mr. Tingles. Calm down.
I knew you'd say
What
it
else
my
do
way.
you want?
I'll also take some marshmallows on that cocoa, please.
This is a truly disturbing situation. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some breaking news coming in this very moment. We now know the identity of the Regal mystery movie that played on December 9th, 2024. It has been confirmed that the film in question was September 5. September 5 is a historical drama that focuses on the 1972 Munich Olympic hostage crisis from the perspective of the ABC sports crew. The film highlights their transition from covering the Olympics to reporting on the hostage situation involving Israeli athletes. The broadcast team must work quickly and efficiently to transmit the first live coverage of a terrorist attack, live to 900 million people.
Rated R.
Now, I didn't recognize any of the actors in this film, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because all rising stars start their ascent somewhere. Most characters aren't given much of an introduction. They come buzzing in and out of scenes, and it's hard to make a connection to them. There was also a lot of name screaming, but I still found it hard to follow who was who. So I am going to talk about the two that I like the most. First, we have John Magaro playing Jeffrey Mason, an up-and-coming producer. He's just cutting his teeth on a production business, and there is no stage bigger than the Olympics. He's fiery and bucks traditional norms, as well as direct orders from the network. Magaro was grounded in his performance, keeping the cast and team together. It was a solid performance. Next, we have Leonie Benesch, who plays Marianne Gebhardt, a German liaison to the station. She proved vital throughout the film for her translation skills and her knowledge of German society. Without her, the team wouldn't have known anything. I like Benesch's performance the most because she brought in a lot of emotion. As a German, she knows how most of the world still sees the country. You can really see her discomfort when some of her co-workers make disparaging remarks about the country and its people. She is willing to do what it takes to help the studio and the hostages. The movie opens during the 1972 Olympic Games in Munich, Germany. It was the first time the games were held in the country since the 1936 games under the watchful eye of Adolf Hitler. Germany wanted to show the world how far they progressed since World War II, which is why they call these games the Cheerful Games, a way to bring the world together. Part of this plan was to not have armed guards at the Olympic Village to show just how peaceful it really was. The world had already seen enough of armed Germans patrolling fences. September 5 focuses solely on the American Broadcasting Company, or ABC, that has broadcasted the Olympics worldwide. Early in the morning on September 5th, a Palestinian militant group called Black September infiltrated the Olympic Village. They killed 2 members of the Israeli team and took another 9 hostage. They demanded the release of Palestinian and non-Arab prisoners who were being held by the Israeli government. What follows is a harrowing 24 hours as the local German police struggle to find a solution. There weren't any specialized anti-terror units to deal with this type of situation. There were specialized military combat units which can't deploy during peacetime according to the German constitution. The broadcast team that was only trained to produce sports content is now tasked with creating news segments about this explosive situation. They battle the authorities, other networks, and their own bosses to broadcast, for the first time in history, a terrorist attack. This is a bottle movie, meaning that almost the entire movie takes place in a singular location, namely the broadcast studio. As I said before, the movie focuses solely on this broadcast team. We only see glimpses of the outside world through grainy camera footage and the occasional open exit door. We are cut off from the action that is happening in the Olympic Village. I think this was an interesting choice that works both for the movie and against it. One benefit of this being a bottle movie is that the viewer feels like they are part of the action. The camera shots are close, sometimes claustrophobic. It feels like you are jammed next to everyone in the studio. You could almost smell the cigarettes and body odor. Unfortunately, this also limits the use of wider shots. The constant closeness gets repetitive. There were also multiple shots of shaky cam, some of which were too much. There were multiple times where the characters left the studio for research. I got excited because I thought it was going to inject more action into the film. But unfortunately, we get left waving goodbye to them at the exit door. We only get to see the footage of these external exploits. While this works within the theme of the movie, I found it to be kind of boring. I was ready to leave the studio for these little excursions. September 5 does a good job of creating tension in the broadcast studio. The viewer is learning the latest intel at the same time as the characters. This creates a sense of uncertainty. There is a mixture of real and recreated camera footage, and when combined, I couldn't tell which was which. While I appreciate this for its authenticity, as a viewer, it can be hard to decipher what we are seeing. I found myself relying on what the characters said they saw instead of what I could actually see. Remember, this is the 1970s. The technology used is pretty much obsolete by today's standards. The film leans heavily into how the characters use this technology. Large portions of the film focus on film development and communication tools. The viewer is shown step by step how the team brought these broadcasts to life. The sheer ingenuity the teams used to get these broadcasts out was very impressive. It was all really interesting, like a history lesson. I think it really helps expand the 1970s atmosphere of the film. Though I don't think all of it was 100% necessary to see. The pacing of the film varies. At times it's rapid, as new information comes in. Decisions have to be made in seconds. There's a lot of quick talking and even quicker camera cuts. And other times we are just waiting for something to happen. And while this works within the story of the film, it doesn't leave the viewer much to do. A lot of time is spent watching characters talk to disembodied voices on walkie-talkies. At times, this felt more like a radio show than a movie. I wish the movie gave a bit more background information on why things were happening the way they were. I had to do my own research into the topic after watching the film. The German police were very ineffective at accomplishing anything. Like I said earlier, they weren't trained for this type of situation. I feel like this was glossed over in the movie. It was mentioned very briefly and then not again. The police were given weapons they didn't know how to use. They didn't understand the tactics they were told to use. I feel like this should have been better explained in the movie, because otherwise it just makes the police look incompetent, which isn't the case. They were just really unprepared. The ending of the film felt anticlimactic for me. Now, I already knew how the movie was going to end because I already read about these events weeks before. I think the ending was flat because, again, we're secluded in the broadcast studio. Everything is word of mouth. The characters are hearing about what is happening outside, and the viewers are sitting there listening too. We are living vicariously through the characters. Hearing the results of the hostage situation is a lot different than seeing it. I don't think the cast relayed the emotions strong enough to make up for that. Finally, I don't know why this movie was rated R. It's basically a dramatized documentary. There isn't any violence, blood, or guns in the movie. Because remember, everything that we see is through grainy camera footage. There are a few usages of the F word, which frankly I don't think were very necessary. This movie could have easily been rated PG-13. And if it got that rating, it could be shown in schools. Overall, September 5 was a decent trip to the 1972 Olympic Games. I feel the movie nailed the 70s atmosphere and looks, but the bottle setting did more damage than good to the entertainment value for me. The characters often lacked depth and were unmoving. And it is for these reasons that I am giving the Regal mystery movie September 5 the fluff piece score of 5.5 out of 10. While I understand the angle of focusing solely on the broadcast team, I think this probably would have worked better as a documentary as opposed to a drama. So, did you see September 5? If so, give me your live coverage down in the comments below. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more of the news and reviews you can trust. Thank you for watching. This is Gremlin Lord 615 signing off. Good night.